We're looking at Predictive History's Game Theory 11, the Law of Escalation, recorded roughly a month into the US-Iran war. Professor Jiang poses 3 questions he claims will determine the outcome. Will the US launch a ground invasion? Will nuclear weapons be used? Will the Al-Aqsa Mosque be destroyed by Israeli extremists? His predictions? Yes, no, yes. He stakes his entire theory on a perfect score across all 3. Smart move. By bundling 3 disparate predictions into a single pass-or-fail test, he turns analysis into spectacle. The audience roots for a perfect score instead of scrutinizing each claim. He opens with a foundational concept, the escalation ladder. Conflict escalates in steps. You don't jump from a shouting match to a gunshot without intermediate stages. Spectators constrain action. His conclusion: control beats dominance. Calibration and flexibility beat brute force. Fine so far. The trouble starts when he scales this from bar fights to geopolitics. He introduces a schoolyard parable, a bully representing the US and a new kid representing Iran. The weaker but more disciplined actor manipulates the stronger credibility-dependent one into self-destruction. It's clean, allegorical, and deeply flattering to Iran. It also reduces a multi-actor, multi-dimensional war into a binary moral fable. When he applies this to the actual war, the analysis gets selective. He builds 2 escalation ladders. The US ladder is linear and blunt. Decapitation strikes, military attacks, embargo, civilian infrastructure attacks, secret weapons, biochemical weapons, nukes. He places the current conflict at attacking civilian infrastructure, declares we're a long way from nuclear weapons, and asserts with 100% confidence that nukes will not be used. His certainty rests on the assumption that nations in a thermonuclear crisis behave like guys in a bar fight, climbing one rung at a time. It ignores desperation, miscommunication, and the concept of a deliberate, limited nuclear strike, designed to shock without inviting total apocalypse. The latter is tidy. History is not. Iran's ladder, by contrast, is a decision tree. Iran can selectively close the Strait of Hormuz, calibrate drone strikes, choose which ships pass. Jiang concludes this grants Iran escalation control, which trumps America's escalation dominance. Several critical leaps here. He treats Iran's options as freely available and costless. Closing the strait or attacking desalination plants are presented as calibrated tools, not potential triggers for a wider regional war. He assigns Iran a monolithic, clear strategy while painting the US as confused and ambiguous. Classic analytical move: rationality for the side you favor, disorder for the other. He circles back to his first prediction: ground troops are inevitable. His reasoning hinges on a cost pyramid, where infantry are the cheapest asset, implying their eventual deployment in a prolonged war. This is purely mechanistic. It ignores political will, public sentiment, and the very lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan he referenced minutes earlier. There's a tension he never resolves. He spends most of the video praising Iran's patience and calibration, then applies rigid deterministic logic to US action. What did this video actually deliver? Not a game theoretic model in any formal sense. A narrative framework dressed in academic language. The story works because it's an underdog tale. Control versus bluster. Discipline versus hubris, and it reassures the audience on the scariest variable, nuclear war, by asserting a rigid sequence of events that hasn't been met. This is where Jiang is most effective, not in prediction but in anxiety management. He imposes order on chaos, and his audience is grateful. My assessment of his predictions. 1. Ground invasion, yes. As of late April 2026, no large-scale US ground invasion has materialized. The war remains primarily an air and naval conflict. His mechanistic cost pyramid logic is losing to political reality. This prediction looks wrong. 2. Nuclear use, no. His 100% confidence is analytically reckless, but the underlying observation that the nuclear taboo is powerful and there are many rungs left is reasonable. Probably correct, but for reasons more complex than his ladder allows. 3. Al-Aqsa destruction, yes, the wildest of the 3. Dependent on fringe Israeli actors, barely game theoretic, and clearly chosen to heighten stakes and broaden his audience. Very unlikely, but catastrophic if it happens. This video clarified reality by offering a structured way to think about escalation. It simplified reality by reducing state actors to schoolyard characters and assuming conflict follows orderly, predictable rules. And Jiang's perspective as a Chinese citizen subtly shapes the whole frame. The US as hubristic hegemon, its adversary as the strategic mastermind. It's not wrong exactly, it's just suspiciously neat. Okay, count. 32. His relentless okay serves as a verbal metronome, checking comprehension and asserting control over the flow of ideas, mirroring the very calibration he praises in Iran.